Can you imagine being a president who, at least on paper, is getting things done, but most of your people feel like you're failing? Well, that's the incredible tightrope Zambia's leader Hakainde Hichilema, or HH as pretty much everyone calls him, is walking right now. He's a leader at a serious crossroads, and honestly, his country's future is hanging in the balance.
So, okay, how did we get to this point? It really all kicked off with a simple but really powerful promise. When HH was campaigning against his predecessor, Edgar Lungu, he basically laid out a crystal-clear choice for Zambians. You can either stick with the past, or you can turn the page with me.
His argument was super straightforward. He said, look, the last government was corrupt, it abused civil rights, and, this was the big one, it drove the entire country into debt default. HH sold himself as the exact opposite, a smart, competent manager who could come in and clean up the whole mess.
And this, right here, is where the whole story gets so much more complicated, because if you look at the big picture, a lot of things are getting better. So if that's true, why do 2 out of 3 Zambians feel like their country is heading in the complete wrong direction? That's the real puzzle we're going to try and unpack here.
First up, let's look at the case for President Hichilema. His message to voters right now is pretty simple: stay the course. He's essentially saying, hey, we've done the really hard work. The foundation for a better future is finally in place, and this is absolutely not the time to turn back.
And he's not just talking, right? He has a whole list of actual achievements to point to. He managed to secure a massive deal to restructure the country's debt, which basically means he renegotiated the terms to make the payments more manageable. He's also brought in free education for school-age kids and is pushing big reforms in really key areas like power and farming. And on top of all that, there's a huge drive to get copper production way up and to launch brand new infrastructure projects.
And what's the result of all this? Well, under his leadership, Zambia has seen its highest economic growth in more than a decade. I mean, from a pure numbers perspective, that is a figure any leader would be thrilled to campaign on.
His big vision is to totally change Zambia's role in the entire region. He has this famous saying that Zambia isn't landlocked, it's land-linked. And what he's talking about are these huge projects, like fixing up the Tazara Railway and building the new Lobito Corridor, which could really turn the country into a central hub for trade.
But see, that's the view from 30,000 feet. When you get down on the ground, the reality for a lot of Zambians feels completely different. All those impressive economic stats, they just haven't translated into real, tangible benefits that people can feel in their day-to-day lives.
And this number right here, this is what defines the president's political problem.
A 2024 poll from Afrobarometer found that a staggering 2/3 of Zambians think the country is headed in the wrong direction. That feeling on the street just completely flies in the face of the positive economic story. And it's not just about the economy. There are also some real concerns bubbling up about civil liberties. The NGO Freedom House is accusing his administration of shrinking the political space for his opponents. HH's defense is, well, pretty blunt. He basically says things are way better for his rivals now than they were for him back when he was getting arrested on what he calls totally fake charges. So in his mind, the standard isn't, is everything perfect? It's, is it better than it was under the last guy?
Now, to be fair, no leader gets to govern in a perfect little bubble. And it's really impossible to judge HH's time in office without understanding the incredible series of crises he inherited and has had to deal with from day one. Just think about what he was up against. He walked into office with the country already in debt default and right in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. Then the whole world got hit with a massive inflation surge because of the war in Ukraine. And just to top it all off, 2024 brought one of the worst droughts in Zambia's entire history, which is just devastating for a country that depends so much on farming and hydropower.
So all of this, it brings us to the upcoming election in August. This is the moment of truth. It's when the Zambian people are going to have to weigh the promise of a better future against the very real pain of their current situation, and then deliver their verdict. And that really gets to the absolute heart of the problem. All the big structural changes he's making, like fixing the debt and building new infrastructure, those are all long-term plays. The real benefits, the kind of stuff people actually feel in their wallets, might not show up for another 5 or maybe even 10 years.
So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this one question. Can a leader convince people to put up with pain today for the promise of a better tomorrow? Is a long-term vision enough when the short-term reality is just so incredibly tough? That is the choice that Zambians are going to make this August.